All right. I think I'm actually live. Let's see. All right. I can see myself. All right, guys. What's up? It's Dark Angel's Journey. I'm Shakira. There might be a bit of a lag. I'm trying testing this thing out where if I do this live, then I don't have to do all the weird editing and stuff in the background, which is really, really annoying. Anyway, so I figured I'd do my back testing and maybe some live testing on crypto. Yeah, let's do that. Let's see if we can figure something out for ETH or BTC for a trade. I'm just tape reading though, so I'm not gonna actually get into anything, but let's see if we can do some predictions and stuff. And if there's no setups, then we can just go into the background and take a look at what was happening today in yes, which is what I'm mainly looking at these days. All right, so if that sounds like a good time, drop a like, drop a comment. You know, the comment thingy is open. And I know this is like spontaneous, so don't worry about it. Let's get tiny. All right. So let's get into the charts. Got my screen up here and all the fun things I was doing earlier. It was weird. My one of my layouts was just acting the fool today. But guys, take a look at how spot this on. So I'd in one of my previous vids, I had said, I'm expecting to come take out this buy side. And they did with prejudice. Beautiful, beautiful. And this is all stuff that I've been doing before when I had that last stream. And I'd moved my stop loss here and I would have been stopped out, but it would have gone to my take profit, etc. Whatever. Anyway, old trade ideas. So let's clean this up. And we've moved quite prestigiously away from all of this beautifulness. Ah, lovely. They took this buy side out beautifully. All right, this is all old. We don't need any of that. And I'll leave that up just for funsies. So this is on the 1 hour. So let's set up ETH on the daily. And I have a couple of things on here. What's this? Go away. Okay, what's this? Break a block. Trying to get all the old stuff. Trying to click on that. Go away. All right, there we go. So we're clean. All right. So these are the look backs: 60 days, 40 days, 20 days. Basic concept is simple. What's the highest high in the last 60 days? And what's the lowest low? So highest high is here, lowest low is here. They took out the highest high over here and they did it dun, 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 within 40 days. They haven't taken out any lows since we started this up move. All right. So they did a little consolidation and now they've made some sort of a move. And they took the buy side out. All right. So let's see. So 20 days, do we see some sort of a move within that time? We saw them working towards to eat this up. No lows taken, just a charge forward. They didn't make it. Let me see, 20 days. Oh yeah, they took it. They took it on the 20th day approximately. Let's zoom in on that. Let's drop a quick line on it just to make sure I'm not crazy. Okay, we know I'm a little crazy, but I'm not that crazy. And did we nip above it a little? Yeah, just a tip. They they broke it just a little bit right there, literally 20 days in. Nice delivery. All right. And then I figured to myself that they would come back, take this out, and eat into this bullish order block, which it did. And then they took out buy side again, but it was a shallow run. This was really shallow. This is the rejection wick right here, and we saw it work quite well, where none of these they were able to come in, and they decided to dig into this fair value gap on the daily. Now I'm just curious. So we were on a downtrend prior to this year starting up, and we had this big green candle, which I believe is a breaker block, right? We had a lower low. So between what makes it a breaker, three real things, I think. We have a lower low here, and then a low here, and then a lower low in between, and a fair value gap. So we had this big breaker, and it looks like it had been hanging out inside of this breaker. They hung out for a bit until they broke below it here. I think this was like a news play or something. Anyway, so they've been chilling in this breaker in and around it for quite some time. Now, crypto trades 24 hours, so I guess you just do something on the 12 hours. Yeah. So there wouldn't be any regular trading hours. It's just all electronic. All right, so they were inside of this breaker, so I keep it nice and clean. So I'd also specified this area here as buy side for them to work towards. There's a tiny bit of this fair value that needs to be traded back into. And we have nice big buy side up here at 2032.67 for ETH. Okay. So I'm just gonna drop down to the monthly, and I'm gonna take all of this off because it's just in the way. So from a monthly perspective, we are just going sideways. Yep, sideways. We had like an inside candle here, and then I'm finding that whenever you have insides, they you generally like fly away from it in either direction, really. It just depends on the bias. So right now I have nothing because monthly is neutral in my mind. We're just going sideways because we haven't, as levels go, I would be thinking about consequent encroachment on this wick and then them tapping into this monthly fair value if they're going up. And let's see what the weekly looks like on that. Did that take? Okay, there we go. And then, yeah, so you can see the range pretty clearly here. So from you know what? Let's just delete everything so we can have a clean. I'm finding, what's this? The bit rate is lower than recommended. Okay, well, whatever. This is just as, hopefully it comes out well. If not, then I'll just go back to my normal process for doing this. Anyway, so let's take a bit of a premium discount look on things, right? So we've just traded down. Didn't even tap it. This fair value right here. And we've been trading away from this low, but sideways. And we rolled back up into a premium for this range, and the range being from this low to this high. Actually, I feel like the range is really this. So we're still in a discount for this giant range right here. On a smaller range, though, it would be, I think, from this low to this high. If I'm thinking about it. And drop something in the comment, let me know if you think I'm wrong, which I could be. I'm still learning. So we're we're meandering about in the equilibrium space. And then they went into a deep discount and then they rolled back up. So we'll see what they do. But anyway, let's dip down into, and the daily looks, let's dip down into the 1 hour for ETH. Okay. So let's do a little analysis, right? So far they've taken this buy side up here with prejudice, And at this point, we've got a rejection wick here on the 1 hour. And let's see what's on top of this. So let's look to the left, man. Look to the left. All right. So the next set of buy sides up here. Let's start that. Buy side at 17 and change. Now, I would also be looking at this area here as well at 1754 as a potential target. But I'm also learning how to use the fib as a target as well. And let's see how they've behaved for the day, right? So what's the high of the 16th is 1744.64. And the lowest we've gone today is actually where we are right now, 1641. So let me draw this out in time. That's the first of the fair values. I just plug that in here. One more here. So what do we have? We've come up on a pretty decent run, right? They've been going up for a while. Big moves yesterday and a big move today, and then back down into yesterday's fair value. What they've created at this point is displacement. Question is, where did they stop? So I'm going to go back out to the daily because I want to see if they stopped at anything juicy. Ah, look at that. Bearish order block. So they're hanging out. Ooh. Did they stop at mean threshold for this order block, which is about middle of the candle? Let me plot this right here to the base of that and draw that over. Get back to the top of that. And almost, not quite. And yeah, that's pretty well drawn. Okay. So they didn't quite make it to mean threshold of that candle, but they hit a bearish order block on the daily. Because came back up, dropped precipitously. So not surprised they're thinking about it. They've been meandering about in here for quite some, at this level for quite some time. Yeah, they tapped into it once, twice, and then each time they've been somewhat rejected and haven't been able to make it back up there. So bearish order block there. For all the folks who went long in this general vicinity, and then we got a shift here. We have a mitigation block right around in this general vicinity. But that's neither here nor there. So we dropped, and we switched our fortunes here. All right, let's go back down to the 1 hour. All right, so what are the potential considerations? Buy side, that so auto zoom. Here we go. So buy side up here has been taken quite prodigiously. They've come into it. They've made a shift here, and they're digging into this fair value. So let's drop down to 15 minutes and see what that looks like. Okay, so did we have a potential entry? Because this beautiful rejection, they dug into a quarter of it. Nice. And then they just sort of meandered about. And then they had this short-term low right here, and then they broke below it. Now, on the lower time frames, could we have gotten an entry from this? Now, the real deal Holyfield for me would have been like, is the breakdown here, but we did have this order block, this bullish order block to aim for. So let's drop down to the 5 minutes, see what we're doing. We're just kind of meandering about there, so I'm not going to worry about that. Okay, let's see. So when it broke below this guy right here, it left a fair value gap and they traded back up into it. Not bad. Now, is that a breaker block right there? Got a low and a lower low. That green candle looks like it. Finding that perfection is not what I'm expecting, right? Because we're expecting to go up, right? And we busted down, so. Oh, poor kitty. He's got a cold. Taking him to the vet in the morning. Let me see. I don't know if I'm saying this right. Breaker block. But there was displacement here. It dropped. There's a low, low, a low, and a lower low that it busted through it. So in this narrative, we would expect it to come in and continue down, which it's been doing, right? Dropping small moves. Anyway, so once we made this precipitous drop, then they did give us an opportunity at this bearish order block, fair value. We saw them drop below, take this out again, sell side. They came back in, couldn't make it work. Consequent encroachment or mean threshold of this thing, boom. And then they've dropped into this guy and they're working their way down. I think into that. Right now, for me, I have nothing to do. Most of this moves mainly spent for me. I'm still a newbie, so I'm not crazy. So, with that being said, let's jump. Let's grab one of my back testing things in here. I mean, for me, I feel like they're gonna continue coming down. We've got a big shift. So one of two options for ETH. They could come back up into here, maybe come tap this order block. They tend to like, from what I'm learning so far, they tend to like to come back to the stronger areas. So they might eat this up. Now, the other potential is, you know, they've been dropping. You know, it could be just as simple as this, or, you know, and just keep going like that, right? Or could be a fake out. I highly doubt it, but when they come back and you get like a bit of a, you know, failure swing and then they come back in and then continue back up. The range for the day though has been pretty, it's been pretty clear. You know, if we're looking at it, that's the high. That was the low from 9:30, and they've broken that. So 5, 6 o'clock, whatever. So they've broken through all of that. I'm not as sure about how to work with Ethereum because there's certain concepts that I want to apply to it that I can't because of the nature of it. So I'm learning very clearly how to trade during very specific market hours. So let's switch this to just the E-mini. Micro is great if you need to start with a smaller thing. They should trade in lockstep. March contract, I assume you need to look at other stuff. Let's delete that. What is all of this? Okay. Let's do an analysis from top down and then do some back testing. And I learned something today that just makes me so freaking happy. So I just want to go test it and find it. I'm gonna drink water. Okay. All right. So new month has started. Go there. I'm just dropping that to delineate the start of January versus now. Okay. So I'm just gonna drag this over for 60 days. Just gonna set the bar range. Did I get too, I think that's too far. 60, 60, 60. All right. And then I'm just gonna change the color, something yellow. I'm just gonna clone it. Let's go 40. And I'm gonna clone that again. Let's see how this price action has been moving. Oh, excuse me, 20. All right, so the highest high in the last 60 days, this guy. Lowest low, that guy. Highest high for the 40 days, that guy. Lowest low, that guy. 20, this guy. Lowest low, that guy. What they haven't been doing is taking out the lows. So for the last 20 days, clone, plot this way. Give that a different color. Let's say blue. For the last 20 days, they've just been working themselves to this sell side. Beautiful. Sell side taken nicely right there. And so what happened on the 20th day? Well, I didn't quite take it on the 20th day, but just gives you some idea that something's going to happen in the near future, 40 days, so somewhere around in this general vicinity. We'll see what's up. Thinking about like the quarterly shifts here, or somewhere in the future, 60 days that way. All right, let's dive into, let's like throw price back. Let's hit the replay button. I'm just going to come in this general vicinity because I want to get down to the lowest time frames. And let's get up in this tiny range, click. All right. So where do we end up? Tuesday, January 31st. So let's go down to the 1 hour and see where that lands us. 4 o'clock on a Tuesday. All right. Let's take these off. And obviously I've been here before. This is not on purpose, y'all. All right. So let's do a little analysis. That's gone. Right. Next area of interest for me would be up here for buy side. Anything else higher? 41.94. Yes. Let's just delineate that. And just set buy side there. Okay, so those are the general targets. That's already taken. And in my 1 hour time frame, my general interest is sell side here, but mainly here for the moment on the 1 hour. So let's just drop that. Right, cool. Now, what do we have? So between here and here, let's delineate where we are. So we're digging into premium. And let's drop down to the 15-minute. All right, so we're digging into a premium. What do we have in this general vicinity, right? Price pretty much dropped nicely from here. So bullish order block in this general vicinity. Anything else to the right? Nothing exactly right next to it, so that's fine. All right, so if we're bouncing around, let's say we've started a bit of a range from up here to up down here, and let's say I was thinking I'd gotten lucky and, you know, we drop a fib right there, and I'm looking for, right now it would be this buy side right here, then this one doesn't quite make it to it, so then this would be the next area of interest. And then I know I have bigger buy side up here, so then 41.93 or 42.10 would be a great potential above this guy. Actually, that would be it if that's where I'm looking. I didn't get in here at that time, so let's work with what we've got. So in order for me, right now, they've been going long for a bit. Man, I've been holding on to mice all day. My fingers are cramping. Isn't that crazy? Cramping. Anyway, so on the 15-minute, we're gonna drop down to the 5-minute. And all right, so all the way over here, so in order for me to go short, I'm gonna need to see a few things. I'm trying to eyeball all the fun areas of interest, like fair value gaps. Oh, you know what? I'm so sorry. Let's let's jump out to the daily on this. Sorry about that. And can I actually not even a daily, the 12-hour? Something I'm learning, right? This is Friday, Monday. Let's switch this to regular trading hours. And what does that do? That's just put me back to everything. That's not fair. Anyway, so let's let's do some stuff. Let's delineate new week opening gaps. So this is Thursday. That's Friday the 3rd, and that would be Monday. So I'm just gonna so let's give that a deep purple, and then the open of this was here, the base of that. Let's see. 40 opens 41, 41, 21, 25. So this is poor kitty. Let me just make sure it's right. 41, 21, 25. Oh, hey Michael. Thanks for watching. That's awesome. I just looked down and I hadn't noticed that, so I apologize for not looking up, but it really has been a journey, y'all. If you look at the videos when I first started, I wasn't even looking at any of this stuff, right? It was trying to figure out what moving average to use or what indicator is going to be helpful or you know. And I'm not gonna lie, since I started this ICT stuff, that stuff means nothing to me. Like literally nothing. Hey Arnold, how you doing? Welcome, welcome. I am I figured as soon as I finished work, I was like, I need to make a vid. Actually, it was more I need to practice. Yeah. But if I'm gonna do it, I might as well make a vid and document it. Yeah, I started out with supply and demand too, but I gotta say, like, if you're looking for the meat and potatoes, like the real details, and you can stand that much technical detail, ICT is the bomb. Can I just, you know what, since I didn't even know anybody was watching, so thanks guys. Let me show you what happened today. Let me grab a screenshot because I was, during work watching the live stuff and trying to figure out um if I was if I was predicting it right. Can I get 5 handles based off different moves, that kind of thing? Um, so let me show you a couple of my journal screenshots. Oh, you don't. I mean, honestly, like you can pretty much start wherever you want with my videos because, oh, you mean for ICT? Yes, 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 yes. So he just started his 2023 stuff. Oh yeah, so like this is, can you see this? Yeah, yeah. Can you guys see the screenshots from earlier? Let me just make sure it's coming up on OBS. All right, perfect. So like throughout the day, I like spend a bunch of time trying to like tape read and figure out the markets and see because it's really choppy, right? So this was like nine something, 10, around 10 something. I found what I was looking for. I was like waiting and waiting and waiting for this to play out. And I've just recently, because of ICT, understood how to use the Fibonacci to help me figure out what my targets would be, besides just looking at like, fair value gaps or, aiming for sell side or buy side or any of that stuff. But it's been super helpful. So this is one of the screenshots from one of the options that I was looking for, and I'll show you guys on the charts, but you can see right here, right? So, price had dropped a ton and it did what is essentially like for me, a turtle soup, right? Yeah, it's not quite a turtle soup because it was so mean and choppy and gross in here. But one of the things that I learned today that was like liquid gold from ICT. Actually, was it from today? No, it was from last night's live. So I don't know if you've been watching any of my vids where I'm like always mildly confused about how the breakers actually form, right? So now I understand very closely. So like you see this green area I have delineated here, that's a breaker block. Why? It's a breaker because this up close green candle is basically cocooned by this low and then this low, and this candle traded through it. It like broke the structure, right? That's what made it a breaker. So you started to notice that price just kind of hung out in this general vicinity for a while. Then it came down and like all the folks that went long here, their sell side got taken, stopped out, all that fun stuff. Then it dropped, but it didn't take this guy out. Now, what's generally fascinating to me is this kind of translates into that failure swing feel. So we had a combination here of a failure swing because this guy couldn't take this guy out, and it didn't even bother to dip into the wick. But what's also super important about this particular entry for me was the fact that these orange lines here, they're actually monthly new week opening gaps. So those are basically like for E-mini, whenever, and I was just I was literally just showing it to you here. Let me make that smaller. So like on TradingView, if you're using that, you can change this to regular trading hours, and then you can, see the new week opening gap. So like if you just toggle over where Friday is, I was just starting to delineate this one from the third. And then ICT is basically saying, hey, go back in your charts, have like a whole chart that's just for new week opening gaps. So I literally created one. So I don't have to redo it. Let me drop this down here. And so literally blue for blue, that's a week. I haven't gotten very well at figuring out the best way to kind of like label them yet that I like. So it's more color coded for now. But what's fascinating is the fact that price comes and comes back to these things, fill them in, and they respect them. We've been bouncing between the same sets of new week opening gaps for quite some time. Daily, daily opening gaps that are just there's just so many like complicated things attached in here that is just fascinating. And I'm not gonna lie, like I'm really here for it. He's answering the questions that I've always had. So if you've ever wanted to know, oh, why did that candle go here and turn? Why did it do that? Like he answers that question. I know a lot of folks don't like him for, I don't know why. He seems really cool to me, but I'm a different person. Because look, I know we're all here trying to make some money, but let's be clear, right? Like you can't make money unless you have a process that works, right? It doesn't, it could be ICT, it can be supply and demand, it could be, you know, your indicators or whatever. As long as it works for you and you're profitable, yes, keep doing it. Forget the rest. Who cares about anybody else, right? Just do what works for you. But when I started learning and I was trying to tap all those different things, I never answered the questions. Like, the details. I need the details because the details help me to figure out why I'm going to get in and get out. I kept asking, like, so where's my entry? Why should I exit there? You know what I mean? Why that candle, not that candle? You know what I mean? So it's so fascinating. Anyway, so where was I? Right. Back to this super awesome fun thing. And this is not the only one. I had a bunch of them in the morning that I took. I have a ton of screenshots because it's my trading journal. Anyway, so the reason why this ended up being such a good trade for me, multiple things. One, we're coming off a new week opening gap. We've traded away from it. So an area of very, very strong interest, right? All right. Hey, congratulations. And there are literally no tools really for what ICT does. He just it's just price. But if you're breaking in profitability, that's amazing. Like I've decided I'm going to take this year, I'm going to learn from ICT and then I'm going to go in. I'm going to weed out all of my bad habits, weed them all out. Okay, so for this particular one, right? We had the breaker block. Oh man, it's so funny. I keep hearing that number, 3 years, right? I find that a lot of folks spend at least 3 years before they start to get profitable. It's almost like when you open up a small business, right? It takes 5 years before you can see some money. That's just crazy. It's crazy. Okay, yeah. So for this guy, we had the breaker block, we had price being gross in here. This guy couldn't take it out. But once we had this shift, I wanted to see this short-term high get taken out with precision. And I had it right here. And then it left a nice, then it left a tiny little fair value gap here, but I don't really care about that. Why? Because ACT taught something about these order blocks. Right. He taught something about these order blocks that really, really got me, right? So in my mind, I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. So basically, whenever you see like a bunch of down close candles, because I'm on a 1 minute for this, right? Whenever you see a giant grouping of it like that, that's one big order block. And when it's that many and you've got, you know, a breaker block and some FVGs and all that stuff in the mix. So that's why I set my order right here on this red candle right here at the tip of that. And then I just put it out there and then I just waited for price to do something. I'm like, is it gonna come back to it? Because I'm finding that whenever I try to like make an entry for these things, it never quite works. It either busts through it, there's a fair value gap below it, it just like and then originally I was thinking to myself, like, oh, should it be this order block? But it's so tiny. Like, why? But then he explained it in his live yesterday, the PM session, and I was like, whoa, It's like that makes perfect sense. So then that's why I chose this entry versus like one of these guys or this guy or whatever. Like I'm breaking through candles. He's like, this is all just chop and grossness. Don't trade it. It's not worth it. It's just gonna keep messing you up. So that's why I got this entry. So then I dropped the fib on it, and I was thinking to myself, in all honesty, the actual area I wanted for it to get up to was this 41, 27, 25. Why? Because this was the low of another new week opening gap. And I was like, we're already coming up. If I drop the fib on this low and right up to this high, what are my options, right? For for targets. Because I mean I don't necessarily even need to use the fib, right? But what it does for me is if I'm targeting this or like buy side or something, the and I've been testing this the last few days, whenever whatever price line that pops up above your target, it keeps going right to it like that. And I'm like, stop it. Like even if it just wakes up to it and drops back down, I'm like, no, no. It can't be that simple. It really just can't, right? But I've been testing it like live over and over again, right? And it's just been like, whoa, really? And then, so there's one. And then let me look at my other one here. Now that was just me looking at price. Then I was thinking to myself, like we had like a tiny choppy area after this move right here when we actually before this move, and I'll show you that one. So I thought to myself, what would five handles look like? Just as a quick and dirty thing. And I almost thought I wasn't gonna get it. So this is like a second example where I was like, this is clean now. It's clean price entry. I don't have to think too hard. It's at a fair value. Um, I was thinking my entry can be at the top of this bullish order block. They came, I got it. I was like, I should get five handles. Let's keep it simple. Because they failed. I guess this screenshot, I didn't have the whole thing in it. There was a little area to the left that I was expecting them to take out and they didn't. So I was like, I think it's gonna go far. Like, what if I just get like five handles? It's what, 250? But I mean, it's just a quick in and out. What's this? Like 1, 2, 3 minutes? That's the thing that gets me. I work so hard all day for the little bit of money they wanted to pay me. And I could have made 250 for 3 minutes. Like, come on now. Come on now. You can't beat this. You can't. You just have to learn to do it so you don't lose your shirt. Hang on, guys. I apologize. 1 second. Hello? Yes. I'm doing lives. I've got people talking. No. Yes. Jamaican section. Well, don't worry about it then. All right, thanks. Sorry, guys. I don't know how to pause the audio, so I apologize that you had to listen to that. Very mundane. Is there sauce at the grocery store? Anyway, all right. So let's get back to the fun. The fun. All right. So I was over here hanging out. So let's see. What's that? Thursday, Friday, Monday. So let's just delineate this. Well, so that's the gap. And let's grab that guy and let's give those some different colors because these things are super helpful, especially like the new day opening gap too. Like that's a fascinating thing. Like all day long, all they've done is recovered the gap in E-mini. Like how crazy is that, right? So cool. But yeah, if you are interested in ICT, you can comfortably start with the ICT Mentorship 2022 vids. Those are, it's basically where he teaches, let me drop down to, da, da, da. It's basically where he teaches this model, the 2022 model, which is basically you're looking for, like, let's call that sell side. And then I'll grab one more. And then you're looking for buy side. It's relatively simple, but it works. And let's make that, and let's not do that. Okay. So basically, you're looking for some sort of scenario where, let's say, price has been making its way, you know, and it busted through here. So then you're looking for a scenario like this, where there's a shift and it comes back into, like, say, some sort of fair value gap, and then continues on down to take out sell side. And then rinse and repeat. And just continue on. It's the pattern that keeps repeating over and over again. But the important part is there has to be some kind of displacement, right? And actually, this is a good scenario for a mitigation block right here, where they come back in, and then you can get your entry here. Breaker block right here, because look at where all these things are. Breaker block right here for an entry as well. Boom. So mitigation, breaker, they're all in the same place. Beautiful. It's not going to be this beautiful or whatever, but the model is relatively simple. Like, as long as you find that exact thing in the markets, and no joke, let's go look for some. I mean, there was a bunch this morning. Let me drop down to the 5 minutes. Whoopsie. There was some this morning. Oh, hey. So this is the new day gap, right? Right here. For today. And they've just been trading right back up, trying to close the gap all day. Anyway, so where are we? Let's switch back to electronic trading. And let's go look for, like, the 2022 model. So first things, what time is this? Is this the 14th? Okay, I guess we can do it. Nah, that was the FOMC. That was just mean. Mean and unusual, just meanness. FOMC was the worst. I mean, as long as you're not trading it, um, as long as you're not trading it before the drops, before it happens, I think you'd be all right. This is 5 minutes. Okay, cool. So for 2022 model, it would look something. This one's better, actually, for that. Almost. Did that take that out? No. Okay, not quite. So we had buy side here. That's kind of more equal. We have buy side here. They took it out up here. Let's see what that looks like on the 1 minute. Assuming I can. Why don't I ever just drag the thing back over with the replay button so I don't get lost? Come here. It's always such a pain. Actually, you can see it up here too. But the sell side that they took was down here, one big push. And for the 2022 model, let's say you were waiting for them to take this out. They did it with prejudice. Then you're also at a new week opening gap, which is nice, strong area. Rejection wick, even if it's a bit of a small one. They came back down and they couldn't make it back up. Then they left. See this little area here between this low and the bottom of that wick? Fair value gap right there. But what's important, and the reason why I like ICT, short-term low here, taken out right there. So in my mind, I have two options for an entry, right? So then once this happens, this becomes bearish breaker, this whole thing. So then you can set your entry at like the base of this guy. Oh, by the way, do you guys see that? Like, is it? No, it's not quite. Nah, I thought it was a liquidity void. I'm starting to notice those a lot more now. It's very fascinating. Anyway, so these guys become like a bearish breaker once this happens. And then price trades back up into it, right? So what's the opening of this candle? 41.38.50. This trades back up into it, 41.38.25. So you wouldn't have gotten, actually, yeah, you would have gotten that entry beautifully right there. And the close of this candle, 41.38.75. So that would have been not bad either, because the high of this guy is 41.38.75. Now that's like super precise, isn't it? So if you're like, all right, I'm looking for an entry off the base of this order block, great, you would have gotten a good entry. Stop loss would need to be above this guy. And in this scenario, you have a couple of things going in your favor. And this is all hindsight. I think this is what, Wednesday morning? No, I was up for this. I gotta check my notes. But anyway, all the way down here, we have buy side imbalance, sell side inefficiency. So that means there's not a lot of sellers in here trying to take over. It was all buyers, right? So the algorithm, if there is one, I don't care either way, as long as it's an edge. They have to reprice it. They have to make it fair. It doesn't have to be immediately, but this is a 1 minute time frame. So why wouldn't they, in 1 minute? So what I would do in this scenario, having seen what I'm looking for the 2022 model, and this is something new I'm adding in, right? So I would probably, since this is where I want to enter, put my fib right here, drop it at the base of this. And from a target perspective, I'm looking at probably this sell side right here. And then I'd probably look to my left, like what else is there? And I have to remind myself, I am on a 1 minute time frame, right? So either I aim for, low hanging fruit. If I'd chosen to aim for this guy, then per the fib, I should be aiming for this guy. Look how almost perfectly they tapped it right there. That would have been beautiful. You would have been out of it. You have to deal with all this chop. I mean, yeah, this is nice, but I mean, take your money and run. You know what I'm saying? And then, I mean, if I think about it, and I did that, and I did that move on a 1 minute. How many ticks is that? It's 50 is decent. I'm not mad at it. I'll take it. Money is money, right? And this is before any of this 830 mess. Fine, I like that. So that's like an example of the 2022 model, if you're interested in it. But definitely, if you want to get started, I would start there. It's very easy to understand, at least from my perspective. ICT does get a bit he's he's a little long-winded, so you'll have to get used to that. But I think for what he's imparting, it's totally worth it. At least for me. Oh, here's another like really gross choppy example. But here we have another scenario where they took out buy side here, failed to take that guy up, but we're trading inside of a new week opening gap. Like that's the high and that's the low of that thing. So that means we're technically in like some kind of range, right? And if we were to say, drop like a GAN box on the top to the bottom just to delineate between premium and discount, we have like we've entered into a premium here. We dropped down precipitously. There is a bearish order block right here. They traded right back up into it and then dropped like a stone. So imagine if you were, all right, all right, all right, I see what I'm looking for. They came here. They had this swing failure and then one more. I mean, I know folks like ICT would just be like, as soon as he sees this, buy. I mean, sell. target was probably going to be this guy. And just for funsies, let's drop the fib from here to about right there. And if my target was this guy, then that means that the level that's below what I'm looking for should be where price goes. And look at that. The only annoying thing is you would have had to sit through this stuff coming back up, which would have been another entry for you because they just trailed back up into this order block and ate through all of this fair value gap right here. And then they just kind of pinged around for a bit. And honestly, once they made this short-term high and dropped below it, if you wanted to, you could have been a buyer there and then aim for that. I don't know. But it's really choppy. So all of this would have been really suspect. So be careful. But I'm just like showing examples of the 2023 model. And here's an example from the reverse, right? So here we've already taken out sell side. They've done it like 3 times, right? They did it here, here. Well, yeah. So let's say this guy, that guy, and then they made this really big rejection wick right here. Now that would technically be called a failure swing, right? So once this thing happens, then I'm going to be looking for something to be taken out, right? In this case, I'm looking for any like short-term high. And so far, there's none there because it's a short-term high if you've got a lower candle, if you're between 2 lower candles, right? So that means that this guy is the only one I'd care about to see it break. So this is one of those situations where you get this, you come this, you take that, and then you break through it, and then you come back to that. Like that's what I was looking for in this scenario. The annoying thing about the way this played out is that it chopped around for a bit. So it broke. We had a number of juicy fair values to play with. This guy is the one they wanted to hang out with the most. This guy, though, became a breaker block. This candle right here. And if I draw that out in time and pull it over, you see how they came and respected it for the most part, right? Why is everything purple? I actually like purple. I don't have problems with purple. Just funny. Anyways, so we have this breaker block and they've just kind of been hanging out in it. But what was really important for me was the fact that they didn't seem, and by the way, they were tapping this little guy down here. It tapped it again, that fair value. And then they were like, enough, I'm going up now. So once this shift happened, you could have technically been a buyer at any of these like bigger candles, right? Or you could have just waited for the breaker block and then, looked for like a fair value and just taken an order from there. I mean, personally, since we have all of these guys, I would have set my order right here, which would have put you at the base of all of these guys with a stop loss below this fair value gap, like below this green candle from my perspective. And then so if I take the open of this red candle, so let's say our entry's there. Let's say we were overzealous and we waited and our entry was right there. So you have 2 options, I think. You could be right under this candle, that's like 17 ticks. And then in terms of a target, we already know we have these equal highs up here. So need them to take that. And then this guy up here. And then this guy up here. So let's see what the Fibby tells us. And this is still me practicing that whole process. I'm going to take this base to this top. Actually, given where I was at the time, I wouldn't have used that one. I would have used this guy. And let me move it over. And then I would have used that bottom right there. And so if we're in a range between a new week opening gap, I want them to come back out to this. So then the only thing that's above it was this 41.40 and the 41.45. I mean, in for a pound, in for a dollar, it's really close to that edge. Why not take that? Look how beautifully they traded into that and then dropped. I mean, come on, you can't make this stuff up. It's crazy. So imagine that run. Like, what would that have been like as your target? 83 ticks. That's not bad. I mean, as a beginner, that's great. I'm over here just looking for 20 ticks, 5 handles. Isn't that crazy? But how long would that have taken us? If we jumped in here, dealt with all that drama, then finally got in here, 1 hour and 3 minutes. Can I just tell you guys that when I was doing crypto, I would be sitting in a trade for freaking 24 hours without it doing what I wanted it to do. Do you know how amazing it is for me to get to some kind of like end result for a trade within an hour? That's insane. Sometimes in minutes. I mean, probably still gonna trade crypto, but for now I'm gonna focus on the E-mini. But anyway, so that's another good example of the 2022 model, why we're still entering on a fair value gap. We had sell side taken out first. We had a break right here, and we traded back down into it. Beautiful. I mean, okay, maybe not beautiful because it's a little choppy, very choppy. Because this guy would have made you feel like, oh, okay, let me just, if we come back down here, let me buy here, set my stop loss under here, you'd have been stopped out, right? Not cool. The reason why I like what I'm learning from ICT is that it's making me focus on the areas where price will most likely go back to. And then it's also giving me reasons why price should not move or return back to a certain area. So basically when price becomes like fair value in that range. So as an example, this fair value gap right here, right? Price traded back down into it, closed it, not on the first candle, but on the second one. It closed it up. And then it's been painting it over and over again. So by the time it was done in here, it's fairly priced. So I don't expect it to come back into this thing after it's been doing all this wicking. And then notice all the bodies of the candle. Let's zoom in on that. And that's something that I need to like recognize and focus. And that's why I'm taking the time that I'm taking to do this. Look at the bodies of the candle, right? Even if it wicked outside of this fair value, none of the bodies ever left it, right? And that told me a lot about, intention, right? Not to mention that it never really, and then, man, look at this thing. This guy, right? So consequent encroachment on this candle, which would have been the last line of support, is like the midpoint of the wick. They never even came back down to it. 41.21.25. Never came back down to it. What they did though was come back to about what, a quarter of it, and then left. So another thing that told me, well, you guys aren't like coming back down again unless some black swan event happened. And it still was a really grossly choppy day. Wicking up, down, up, down. I mean, it's just mean. It didn't actually become relatively decent to trade until like the afternoon, you know? But it's still a good example of the 2022 model. And it's super simple. You know what you're looking for. You're looking for, how long have I been here? An hour? Okay. And I think I'll do this and then close out and just say thanks. Oh, everybody left. Okay, good. It's about that time, right? Anyway, so just as a recap, right? You're in the 2022 model, you're looking for sell side to be taken right there. Then you're looking for displacement that's busting below this area, then you're looking for them to come back up into that displacement, either like actually up into it to like an order block up here, or to a mitigation block right here, or maybe even a breaker block right here, right? So you have like what, three options: one, mitigation, breaker, order block, but not all the way up to the order block, 'cause that's getting a little close, but you get the idea, right? And then, we're heading down, and that's for the shorting. And then for the um, long, yeah, for the long version, we've been going down. We took out some sell side. We broke above. Again, we're looking for price to either come back to this mitigation block right here, boom, and then take off, or to this uh which one's this? I always get turned around when it's upside down, I'm not gonna lie. And then we come back down to this. So this is the order block, mitigation block, breaker block. Thank you. Haha. So it's either gonna come here, or to this general vicinity where the order block is, and then go in the opposite direction. Like that. Let's stop it there. All right, guys. Thanks so much for jumping on. I know these were kind of ad hoc. In the comments, if you feel like it, let me know if I should do these more often. I find that it's a lot more, it's a lot easier for me to get through because I don't have to do all this editing and stuff. I kind of like that. But anyway, safe trading. Subscribe if you feel like it, and be safe. Shakira out.